Hello and welcome back to another weekly market update after the market closed on 4th of October 2019. So if you're following one of my courses or anything at all, no, this makes sense. That's because you haven't got to that part in the course yet about reading charts. Rather than going over it every time, I just refer you back to the course material. Here's where we're going to look at the longer term, the shorter term picture for overall stocks, any trading opportunities, catch up on cryptocurrencies, etc. So let's kick off as always then with the S&P 500, a long-term multi-year chart. As a recap, my system got us in here, got me out again here. It's kept me in cash. Best part of a year really, and only just recently did it give the bull signal again. In fact, you can now start to see that my concern was, the 40-week was really kind of sluggish and touching the 70-week here. But now the blue line, the 40-week, is really kind of accelerating nicely, aggressively upwards. Most of all, this week's action was impressive. Could have been worse. It tested its 40-week here. You see this, how it went down to the now rising 40-week line, touched it, didn't like to go any further, and then bounced right off again. That is, that's a positive sign. Volume is still the concern. There's not much conviction behind this bounce as yet. And October is traditionally, the second most volatile month. July and August period being the first. If it can get through that, then November, December, conversely, is actually the best time of year. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was really off to the races. One last test it's got to go through, it seems. Here's that short-term picture of the S&P 500, and you can really see that bounce here. We had that. I did warn you that if this line here, former resistance, new support, was broken, that it wouldn't be that great. But the market did break, bounced off of the 200 here quite nicely, but then just kept on marching upwards. So getting back above it. So it's a bit of a head fake there. It's not exactly behaving itself. And there's that volume there. You can see the volume tailing off as it goes up. So it's saying, it's not as bullish as it might appear on the surface in the short term. So short-term trend though, it's hard to say that. Well, it looks like it's bouncing up, but this is an odd one because that support line doesn't really mean anything anymore. But all the time that it spends above its 40-week. The 40-week is pointing upwards, and that in itself is a bullish sign. Anything that's above its 40-week and the 40-week is pointing up, whatever it is, stocks, commodities, I don't care, that's a bullish sign, but it's certainly better than bearish. Let's check in with a couple of individual things. Let's look at Bitcoin. GBTC is the complex for the whole thing, and there was that sideways action that I said it was waiting for things to this average to catch up with it. It broke that, but then it's held on really nicely here, and it's just at a critical point here between the 200 and the 50-day or the 40-week on the weekly chart. Let's look at this here, and it's just really quite an interesting inflection point right now, because this is actually a really nice entry point because of the low risk involved if you're wrong. Look at how aggressive, first of all, this 40-week is, pointing up nicely. It's now crossed over the 70-week, which is a good sign. It did so here in the bearish sense, and then it was down there. So it's doing so here. It's still an orderly chart, even though it broke that support, and it was always really waiting for that to catch up. What it does next with the Bitcoin is going to be very important for the entire crypto complex current market, really. But right level there. This smooths out the volatility of the actual, coin. That's what I love about this, and it's really proved quite good so far. It's looking quite oversold. I say, whether you're going to trade this as an individual stock or anything, or just, accumulate some more Bitcoin, or finally take that plunge and get into Bitcoin, now is, now is a great time. I know I've been saying that for a while, but this one here it looks like it's set to go high. That's a very nice situation. If you go to bitclubnetwork.com, I'm your sponsor, and it's bitsandpieces.com. BISTSN for November, PIECES, Bits and Pieces. and then you can get your mining shares. Remember, that's a very long-term thing anyway. What you're saying there is over the next 3 to 6 years, I'm going to, want to own Bitcoin, and at this price preferably. And look where it was at the peak. You can see it's up into the 30, 40. Even just to get back to where it was is a triple of the investment there. And if you were trading it short term, then if you're wrong, then it breaks that 40 week again. Let's check in with a couple of stocks. What was active? I remember I said VRSN, it would be activated as a buy. Sorry, not VRSN, PEGA, the other one. Be activated as a buy. What I was waiting for is it could get down to, it was up here, and I was waiting for it to get down to that support level around there. It did get to that, got activated, and went into profit in short time. And there's the entry point, and it's up almost 10% already just by buying the stock alone, which is very impressive. I'm going to keep a stop loss. Let's say this looks like some form of resistance it broke here. This is always a tough one. The hard part isn't buying things that are going to go up. The hard part is when to sell them. I just don't want to lose on this one. So if it gets back to where I was here after the support, then it's still going to be in line. I'm just going to stick, I think, stick to the 40 week, the 200 day there. If it hits 66, I'm out. But if you, that's a very nice gain where it is. I won't be surprised if it's tempting to maybe take half off the table even. That's a good gain in a short time. And you can see this one is clearly a stock that's been affected by the overall market. In fact, most stocks are. If there's ever an example of, look, individual stocks, you can think what you want, but the overall market is really what's influencing them, and there you see it. There's another one on my radar I'm looking at right now, Abbott Technologies, ABT, and the chart speaks for itself. This one has just been going upwards for ages. You'd have doubled your money on this one back there over a couple of years. But there was opportunities all the way, and the one I'm looking at right now is right here. And that's, really any time this one, it gets close to its 40 week, as it just did in the week, you can see it bouncing off there. Anytime it gets down there, that's not bad. If this one came down back to about 80 again, it's something I could look at right there. So that's all for this week, and I will speak to you next time.